please.
Okay. There we go. How's that? Better? It is better, isn't it? Good evening. I'm excited to be here. How about you guys? Happy Thursday. So, tonight, we're going to talk about strategy and business plan. But before we do that, before we jump into it, just want to get a feel for who's in the audience. So, a little bit of exercise to start. Can you put your hand up if you identify as a graphic designer? Fantastic. How about as a creative director? Great. How about as an account manager? Great. What about a bookkeeper? Very good. Okay. So we've got a mix in the audience. Good to know. And how many of you actually are involved with strategy in the business? Great. Okay. And how many are business owners? Great. And so the rest are employed? Employees? How many are employees? Yeah, about a dozen. Okay, fantastic. Great. Good. Handy to know. So tonight, what we're going to do is walk through. I've got two parts. What we thought we'd do is 2 half-hour sessions with a little break in between, just so I don't blow your brain with too much info. And I've pitched it at a high level tonight. So there's a lot in strategy and there's a lot in business plan. What I love tonight is for everybody to take on at least one fantastic idea, a light bulb moment. That's a pretty high hit for you, for a crowd like you, I think, because a lot of you will have heard about strategy and business plan numerous times over the year, or the years. So let's see how we go. So to start, I just want to talk a bit about what strategy is. And my definition is probably a little different. Does anyone want to hazard a guess at what strategy means? Planning? Yeah, great. That's definitely part. Vision? Definitely. Integral to it. Fantastic. Yes.
Working magic?
Definitely working magic. Absolutely. That's it. Critical part, definitely. Absolutely part of it. Forward thinking, fantastic. So definitely about direction. Great. So there's 3 key components for me that then work together in harmony with a 4th component to create magic and to give you a direction. So the 3 key components, and you might not be able to read this, are business position, business direction, and ideal customers. So there's a yellow piece of paper on your seat, and what I want you to do before you start is I want you to write down, right now, in this moment, what comes to mind for you. So when you think about your business that you own or that you work in, what is your business position? So it can be a word, it can be a group of words, it can be a sentence, a couple of sentences, a statement, whatever comes to mind. What does business position mean to you? I promise you this is the only exercise we're going to do. Once you've nailed that, I want you to write down what your current business direction is. What does business direction mean to you? And then the third thing is just describe who your ideal customers are. Short and sweet. So who are the people that you sell your products and services to? Did anyone find that hard? Anyone find it easy? Somewhere in the middle? Probably hard because it's a Thursday night, right? Okay, that's our stake in the ground. These three components we're going to talk a lot about in the next hour and a bit. These three components together give us guidance about how we allocate our resources, so our people, our time, and our finances, to make decisions about how we achieve our goals. So, if we actually haven't got these three components nailed, then it's unlikely we're going to achieve our goals. Is there anyone in the room that feels like they set goals, that those goals have been very hard to obtain in the last few years? Great. So there will be one of these components that tonight will become clearer for you. So I'm very mindful, we've got a lot of visuals in the room. So we're all sensory beings, but you guys are probably 90% visual, I would say. So most of what I say tonight, by tomorrow, this time, you'll only remember 10%. But as long as that 10% is something that's going to improve your life and improve your business, I'll be really happy. And I'd love to know, and it might be by the end of the session, or by tomorrow night this time, which area it's in. That'd be great feedback for us and for the team. Right, shall we kick on? Yeah? Who am I? I'm an accountant. Anybody else an accountant in the room? So I have a Bachelor of Commerce and I am a certified practicing accountant, and I also have an MBA. And I loved in school maths, and I loved physics, and I loved chemistry. I also loved English literature. But do you know what my favourite subject was? Guess. Yeah. I did every art subject I possibly could. And I had the biggest art portfolio in my year. And I won an award for our school magazine cover. I actually got to design the cover. And when I told the career counsellor at my high school that I wanted to do design, I was very strongly directed towards a commerce degree to get some business acumen. I've still got that portfolio, but it hasn't been pulled out for a very long time. So I became an accountant. So I am a numbers person, but I definitely have an affinity for design. I couldn't now be a designer ever. I'm not that talented. I've spent my whole life with figures. And I want to tell you about how I got to be a business consultant, because it's important for you as you listen to this story that we're going to talk about tonight about strategy. So in business and in life, you're never going to be just one thing. So I grew into accounting. I did a commerce degree. For the first 5 years of my working life, I learnt how to record transactions. I worked first because my owner spent 12 months doing daily sales for Target.
And I used multi-plan, which was actually the spreadsheet version before Excel. If anybody is that old that they remember that, probably not. It was very boring. The most exciting part of my day was finishing daily sales by 12, lunchtime. That meant I had the afternoon off, pretty much. My time after that, I worked for a mining company. And the first job I actually had in the mining company was creating PowerPoint presentations for the managing director, who recognised I had a visual skill set. I spent 18 months putting graphs on PowerPoint slides and travelling around Victoria supporting him to do presentations. So that's how I started. And from a learning point of view, learning how to put numbers together has just been so incredibly valuable through my working career. So I saw how people affected numbers. So for the first 5 years I learned how to record numbers and how to display numbers. For the next 5 years I learned how people impacted numbers and how I had no control over those numbers. And for the next 5 years after that, I worked with people to actually make the numbers look better. So in an accounting manager's role, it was all about talking and talking with people and explaining to them how they affected numbers. And you see where I'm going? I'm now a business consultant and I'm an accountant. I spend my days talking with people, and I do get called a business psychologist, about how to improve their numbers. So from a very dry, bland accounting base, I've actually got this amazing job, which is so cool. I get to work with all these amazing people in amazing businesses and help them bring their businesses to life. And the outcome is always to make the numbers look better. That's definitely what we're focusing on in terms of a goal. But the action is all related to the strategy, and it's all about people. So businesses are people. Businesses are 90% about people. And so I get to spend my whole day, my weeks, my months, just working with people. So being an accountant is not that bad. So my role with you tonight is hopefully to excite you and to motivate you and to inspire you to take something home from what we talk about tonight, to breathe some life into your business. That's good. So my positioning is I really start each day hoping that I can help people like you be happy and healthy and successful in business. And so that's my mantra. And that's what I live to do each day. And I get feedback pretty much every minute of every day when I'm working with people. And the feedback doesn't have to be verbal. It can be a smile. It can be a shake of the head. It can be somebody spreading out on our couch in our consulting room. I also get lots of high fives, excited text messages. I get some awesome voice recordings too. So it's a fantastic way to be. I guess for you guys, you've got to find that place too. And it's this position that's so incredibly important. So we're going to explore that a bit more. So Brennan suggested that we talk about new financial year near you. And it is, it's all about you. It's a bit scary, isn't it? Do you feel like I am a psychologist? We've got a big magnifying glass tonight. So a lot of what we're going to talk about is going to feel like it's right in your face. And that's purposeful. So it is all about you. Where you are today is because of your beliefs and because of the behaviour or the action that you take. But what we're going to challenge a bit tonight is some of those beliefs. So the opportunity for someone like me as a business consultant is to not be a magician. That's not me. That's actually you guys. You hold the magic, not me. This is you too. You're the problem solvers, not me. This is me. So I'm the one with a big magnifying glass that's going to make you have a look, stop, pause, and examine where you are. So let's look at your reality. You ready? Is anyone ready to leave? Anyone scared? Okay. Stand up. Anyone who works in or owns or operates a micro business. So that's a business with 1 to 4 people. Wow, okay. Well done. A very courageous bunch. You guys, fantastic. So, these are the elements that I look for when I first come in contact with a business. They're my health check. So this is passion. Would you agree in the businesses that you work in there's lots of passion? Yep. If you're in a micro business that's less than 3 years old, lots of passion. Bountiful amount of passion, abundant passion. What about direction? How directed do you feel? Do you actually feel like you know where you're going? Or do you feel like you're surviving? Surviving is pretty much the indicator. And for those business owners in the crowd, do you do everything, including wash the coffee cups, put out the rubbish bin? Yep. Invoice? Yep. So from an end-to-end process, anyone that's in a micro business as an owner pretty much does everything from start to end. And what about the focus on financials? Anybody look at the bank account daily? Come on, there's a few people in the room. Yep.
So much for wife spending.
Yep. Well done. Okay, so you all identify with micro businesses. Fantastic. You can sit down. So what we find is the difference between micro businesses and the other end of the scale, and we'll have a look at that too, is micro businesses are always full of passion. Lots and lots of passion, not lots of direction. So we're going to talk about that tonight, and hopefully you'll have a few light bulb moments. What about the people that work for small businesses? So that's 5 to 19 people. How many have we got in the room? Yep. You guys just want to stand up for a minute so we can see. There's a fair bunch here too. Fantastic. And how many are owners? Yep, well done. Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to let you off easy. You can sit down. So tell me about, in the small businesses, how's the passion? Anyone in a small business that's less than 3 years old? No? So you're all more than 3 years old. What's the passion feel like? Do you love getting out of bed each day? Can't wait to get into work? Passion's a little bit wobbly. That's very normal. What about the direction? Do you know where you're going to be in 3 years? Maybe a little more structured. What about the business owners in the room? Are you still doing the bookkeeping? No, well done. How about answering the phone? No, fantastic. We've actually got some pretty progressive business owners in the room. One of the hardest things to do in a small business as a business owner is to delegate. You absolutely find it very difficult to hand over control. This is also the size of business where we tend to see employees that have come out of corporate jobs that coast. And it's a very difficult thing for a small business to manage an employee that comes into a business this size and coasts. It's a completely different mindset. And so that's one of the challenges we see in small businesses of this size too, especially in small teams. Can anybody relate to that? There's usually one or two people in a team that may be fantastic talent, but may not visibly be contributing all that they can. Okay, medium businesses. Have we got any medium businesses in the room? 1, 2, okay, fantastic. So, guys, how about passion in your business? Is it existent? Yeah? 5 days of the week? No. How about 1 day of a month? Ooh. This is typically where passion tends to wane. So this is where you definitely start to have some issues with workforces. And really the responsibility for igniting that passion comes from the top. So if you're not clear about your business position and what the business is there to do, then passion can definitely wane. Direction's usually fairly strong and it's fairly financially related. Sales targets, profit, business owner. This is typically where a business owner starts to do lunches. Is that something that you've noticed? Maybe football games, maybe ski trips, maybe by boat. And then financial focus tends to become a shared responsibility. So you won't start to have weekly meetings or monthly meetings where you get to share the load, hear about the sales targets. And the last size is a big business. So this is a large business, could be privately owned, could be listed. Typically in this business, we can actually work this out. There ain't much passion. It's pretty much gone. Very directed though. They've got all the pieces of paper, strategic plans and action plans and sales targets, and they're pretty much people that just turn up to work, clock on, clock off. That office is clear by 5 o'clock. Is anybody working in a big business here? No. In terms of the business owner, usually they've outgrown their role, they are doing lunches, and it's pretty much every day. And they're pretty much available 10% of the time on every account. That 10% of time is never measurable, and key clients never see that business owner. That's a little bit of an issue. In terms of the money, the big issues in these size businesses in the creative space is when you lose a key account, it actually means there's major job loss. And most of the issues in this business, as with all the other businesses, come back to these 3 key things. Either the position's not right, the direction's not right, or you've not got a hold on who your customers are. So let's have a quick look at a beautiful video. What I want you to do is I want you to watch this video and take note. So have a look for what business position, what passion this owner has, what's his direction, and who are his customers. And we'll talk about it when the video is finished.
My name is Joel Buckowitz. I'm the owner and operator of Cut Brooklyn, a small shop here in Gowanus, Brooklyn, where we make handmade knives for home and professional cooks. I lived in Brooklyn and I went to graduate school through New School University. I got an MFA in fiction writing. I had a really hard time selling the first manuscript that I wrote. When that sort of went sour and I couldn't sell my book, I just kind of lost steam altogether. I had this period of fear that I was really going to lose writing. It was this thing that I really loved, and I was afraid that I was just going to lose it forever. I decided to take a 3-month hiatus from it, just stop altogether. And when I stopped, I found that I developed this need to make these sort of creative offerings on a daily basis, to basically make things. When I recognized this need, I started just making stuff. A set of bookshelves, a set of canoe paddles for my dad, jewelry, tables, various things. Whenever there was an occasion, I would just go, oh, I'll make something for that, or I'll fix this at the house. And that was kind of filling that need for me. At some point, I just sort of had the idea, I'd always kind of had a fascination with knives, that it would be fun to try. So I tried it out, and it just really resonated with me. It just sort of rung in me the idea of making something so basic and simple when I'd been working on projects that were so very abstract that would never see the light of day. And that this thing that I made would be useful, would be inherently useful, and would be around forever, and somebody would find it someday and be like, wow, I can use this thing. So in a creative way, it was very much the opposite of what I was doing. The payoff was just massive, and so I was just hooked. We had this dilapidated garden shed behind our house. When I wasn't making money, cutting wood or doing various jobs, I was in there just pushing, just like hooked. I just got good at it. I found that I had a talent for it, and I got good really fast. So I was selling knives, within 3-4 months of making my first. These were sort of sporting type knives, so hunting knives, these kinds of things. All of a sudden I was on a year wait like that. People were waiting for my work, and I thought, man, maybe I could do this. And this is one of the things that really appealed to me, was that it didn't cost me a lot to sort of get into this. It just took time. And when I had this break from writing, that's like what I had. So you go into the shop and, you cut yourself, you burn yourself, you fuck stuff up, you ruin something you've worked on for 3 weeks, and you never make that mistake again. So this is how I learned. And so those things are the same with writing and knife making. It just takes, buckets of blood and sweat and fucking work to get there. That's it, to get good, to get competent. And then once you become competent, maybe you have it in you to become an artist. Maybe you don't. Before you get to a place where you can actually make art with the skills that you learn, you have to sort of master these basics. Mastering the basics takes, they say 10,000 hours. It's like 5 years of 40-hour weeks. I'd say it's probably more like 15,000 hours. So it takes a lot of work to get there. And then when you get there, that's day one, Then you can start and you can be making something that you can maybe call art. When you build a knife, it's a purpose-built tool. Really, in reality, the knives that I was making, people would buy and they would just sit in a cabinet somewhere and never be used for the purpose they were made for. It just short-circuited the entire creative process for me. So I was in this spot where it was kind of like, can I make this work? Will it work? Do I want it to work? So I thought, this is probably not going to work. What might work, though, is a kitchen line, because there's so many chefs in New York, A. B, I thought, super easy to grind and make a kitchen knife. It's got to be the easiest thing in the world. And people will buy them. It'll be fantastic. It turned out, just from the sort of design point of view and actually making a good kitchen knife, that was really hard. There's 5 lines to every kitchen knife. If you don't get them just right, it's going to be a piece of shit. As I was designing, it took me well over a year and a half. It was 2 years before I had a piece that I was like, there it is, that's it right there. The difference between my knife that spends 15 hours, say, in my hands all the way through the process, and a knife that gets made in Germany by 10 different robots over a 15-minute period is all really in the details. There needs to be a human element in the making of these things. My sort of flat-out mission statement with what I do is to make every single knife that I make the very best knife that I've ever made. I just was hoping that I could make a living, one way or another. I had no idea that there was this sort of food scene that was just popping off, and no idea that folks would even respond. I was worried that people would shun me because I was making knives. I set up shop and I just started working and working. It was an awesome place. I've never worked in a studio environment before, but it was a whole floor full of 20 studios, and it was filled with people just doing shit that they love to do. You'd go to get a glass of water and there'd be somebody stumbling out of their studio with like dust behind them, like making something. And to me, that was like a whole new thing. I didn't sort of realize that I could have a community like that. I'd been really sheltered. I feel like I just came down from like the hills, you know, and like landed in this spot where all these people were just doing stuff that they were just pumped to do. They were like sacrificing their time, their money, to just push into whatever their endeavor was. And it was like people just looking to make their sort of dreams become things and alive. That first community to me was just like electric. I was like, oh my God, it was like somebody turned the lights on. It took a little while, it took a few months, but the food world started calling and I started to meet chefs and people interested in. The photographer for Edible Brooklyn, Michael Harlan Turkel, shot some stuff at my shop. He was like, this seems really neat what you're doing. Let me introduce you to some people. He introduced me to the folks up at the Brooklyn Kitchen, some butchers around the city. He sort of opened my eyes to this community and sort of introduced me to this community. From then it just sort of snowballed. So this food world sort of unveiled itself before me. And all of a sudden I was like a part of it, you know, and I was a part of something. What's happening in food in Brooklyn is more than even just a community. There's a little bit of a movement here. Several things are sort of coming together at one time. There's like a consumership that's willing to sort of be educated and educate itself about food, about sort of products and these kinds of things. There's also lots of people doing lots of great handmade stuff, like dreaming things and making them happen. So I'm at the convergence of like this handmade and this food world. It's like I hit the jackpot, I hit the lottery. There are like 4 or 5 guys in the country that make handmade kitchen knives. So it was this weirdly like wide open market. I think probably some folks getting into it sort of think that there's this, you know, great opportunity. It's like, you know, the streets are paved with gold in the handmade world. And that's like, couldn't be farther from the truth. Where the currency is really rich is in community, is in the friendships you develop, the fact that you get to do what you want to do and for the most part not be bossed around. That's where it's like rich. It's like in quality of life, it's rich. This tag, handmade, on its very sort of basic face value means quality. If it's made by hand, it's made with great quality. Like when you think of a handmade suit, you think of something that's like perfect. That's why you pay more for it. Or a handmade car. To me, that's the sort of the value of handmade. Really, the root of this is that people are getting excited about doing this kind of work. So we're seeing folks just sort of getting started, you know? So if there's a movement, it's in the future, you know, 5 years from now, handmade in Brooklyn is gonna mean something serious, I think.
What's his business position? Handmade. So, he makes knives. He competes with the robots. And he said there were 4 or 5 other guys in the US that makes knives. If we took the whole knife population, knife making population in the world, is he in the scrum? Elbow to elbow, fighting for his space? No. Underdog, okay?
It's high end. So
It's high end. So if we think of business position as being in the mob, being a shoulder above the mob, and maybe amongst 30 to 40 people, or being at the top of the pack, one of 4 to 5 in a marketplace. Does that clarify for you what business position means? Yeah. This guy is a master at what he does. If anybody hasn't read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Outliers, it's a fantastic book. You cannot position as a top dog, as a master, unless you've done the work. You cannot position and you cannot charge as a master unless you've done the work. So that's the first lesson. So if your business position is that you want to be at the top of the pack, then pick a specialty and do the work. And make sure you keep a record. Case studies, testimonials, videos. Because your brand equals visibility, credibility, and engagement. It's not a logo on a business card, and it's not a logo on a website. You've got to give depth to the brand, and it's all about the story, and it's all about the human element. What was his business direction? Where was he heading? Where is he going? Where is he going to end up in 1 to 3 years? Yeah, exactly. So he started out making hunting knives. After 3 to 4 months of making hunting knives, he had a year waiting list for his hunting knives. But nobody was using them. They were ornaments in houses. He lost his passion. So he decided he wanted to make knives for people that use knives. Home and professional cooks. He spent 2 years mastering kitchen knives. He's on track to be the best damn kitchen knife maker, definitely in the US and probably the world. That's his niche. Are you thinking differently about your business position? Business direction? Where are you going with it? Where are you going to be in 3 years? You can't do everything. So pick one thing to master and a couple of other things that supporting come along the way. He chopped firewood until he made it. Who were his ideal customers? Yeah, they weren't just people that bought knives. They were foodies. They were part of the food movement. He didn't even realise there was a food movement. So if you can actually work out who your customers are, you're not trying to sell to the world, you pick a segment of the market and you find a way to be introduced to that market. You're going to accelerate your growth. I'm not sure what that is. So it's all about being very clear on who you're selling to. So don't set up business to do logos pick a group where there is a demand that are happy to pay your price for your product. So your customers aren't going to be people that buy logos. They're going to be particular segments of the market that you have an affinity with, that appreciate your mastery and that are prepared to pay your price. And there needs to be enough in that segment of the market that you get to stay in business. Okay.
Does that imply the market needs to be?
Oh yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And so this is where, when you're setting up your business, you may choose a segment and you always have to test. There may not be enough work in that segment. There may not be enough work in town. And so from a business perspective, we need to work out, do you just focus on that segment in town, or is it that segment in Sydney, in Adelaide, in Brisbane? So there's definitely the ability to scale. If you are going to target that same segment interstate, you need to travel. You need to be introduced to those foodies in the other state. It's not going to come to you. You need those referral networks. So he had chefs and he had people that were interested in the food movement, butchers, that introduced him into those groups. You need the same thing. Once you pick your target market, your ideal customers, you need people that are going to help you promote you as a specialist. Yeah? Has anybody had a light bulb moment yet? Yay! Cool! Okay. Let's keep going. So, we're just going to talk quickly now about the elements of strategy. This is pretty much the crux of it. So whenever I work with anyone, we would spend the first 3 to 6 months, maybe the first 12 months, nailing these 3 components. Most people sort of get this, never get this. Ideal customers, pretty much no one gets. No one has an idea of who they're talking to, who they're promoting themselves to. They pretty much, I speak generally, businesses pretty much talk to the world, unless they've been to one of our workshops. and maybe a bit more structured. So be very specific. Here's a list of typically what you always hear are the elements of strategy. And they are important, but I want you to forget about them until you've nailed these things. So let's walk through it. What's your position? If you're a small business, you have to position at the top of the pack. You will not stay in business if you position on price. You will not stay in business if you position doing the same thing as everyone else. You have to pick a niche, you have to pick a specialty, and you have to be the best at it, and you need people to promote you as such. Is that going to happen overnight when you put a shingle on the door saying I'm open for business? Yes? No? No. How long do you think it's going to take? As long as it takes. If you are savvy as a startup business, you're going to be okay at 6 months. So don't feel like it has to take 5 years. You've just got to have your strategy right. Ask lots of questions. This is a great resource online. I direct everyone to it. The guy that is responsible for a concept called the Golden Circle, Simon Sinek, is an excellent marketing communicator, and he's changed the way we think about business positioning. His website is startwithwhy.com. He is also a speaker at TEDx, so you'll find lots of videos online, and he's got lots of free videos and resources on his website. If you need to re-clarify your business position, do his university. It's $79. It'll be the best 12 hours you spend. And the business position is all about why you do what you do, how you do it, and what products and services you offer. Why is about your passion. It's about the purpose of actually doing what you do every day. Why do you get out of bed? What motivates you to get to the office? What motivates you to employ people to help you do what you do? The how is the human element. How do you create logos? Craft a branding campaign. Apply a logo to a website. That has to do with your values and your culture. And it's very sensory. So when you explain your process to your clients, you need to explain it so they feel what it's like. Yeah? The last thing you tell them about is what you do. Now, question for you. When we wrote on the yellow piece of paper at the beginning of the session, who wrote for their ideal customer a product or a service? Anyone? Anyone write a person that buys a logo, person that buys a branding campaign? No? Okay, well done. That's pretty good. So why do you do what you do? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What's your passion? And you need to ask yourself a lot of questions to distill this. So it's much deeper than creating a logo. It's much deeper than communicating. What is it that you love about what you do? And it's that essence we need to capture, and this is the hardest thing to articulate. Why do you get out of bed each day? Why do you drive to work? Why do you work 8 to 10 hours? What is it that keeps fueling you to be in that repeat pattern? So that you can go to bed and do it again tomorrow. And it has to be more than finances, right? Yeah. Does anyone have a feeling for that? Can anyone articulate it?
You said to me.
Yeah, what? A mission. A mission, well done. A mission to do what? Yeah. Yeah. And a mission to create?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. And why would you be creating? Yeah? And why have you told them you will? And why do you want to? Do you know it? Well done. And so this is where it's difficult. So I want you to ask why at least 10 times. Because the answer you come up with the first time probably ain't it. It needs to be something that you can crystallise that's very different to everybody else that does the same thing as you. So that's your selling point. It's a difficult question. This is why it takes 3, 6, 18 months to work it out. So, does anyone feel like that's their day? You don't? That's awesome. So, let's forecast forward. Is anyone going to be living exactly the same day that they live today in 3 years? No? Fantastic. So, if you can articulate your why, then in business you will be evolving and you won't be in the same place. It's part of the mastery, part of creating the niche. It's part of getting off the hamster wheel. So let's just have a quick look at another video. This one's a beautiful one too. And what I want you to pay attention to again is what is his business position, what is his direction, and who are his customers.
It sounds weird, but I think it sounds weird, but I think it's because I'm a very visual person. There are pictures that when you stop and look at them, they grow and you can go places in them. I have a big soft spot for just raw visual impact. I've been an advocate of personal work for, I don't know, for forever. The commercial work pays the bills, of course, but I don't know, it seems like in the new era of media that I'm increasingly more interested in becoming a more versatile and well-rounded artist. Still photography will always be the core, but there's just too many interesting things going on right now. I guess I started paying attention to the web and Web 2.0, and that phrase has been kicked and beaten to death, but I guess I was intrigued by social media early and started a blog a couple years ago, and that was really it was another creative outlet for me more than anything else. And it's funny how that's grown. It's become an interesting part of my brand. Social media it's not going away. I think it's going to change a lot over the next couple of years, but it's interesting how that integrates with a creative person or with creativity in general. I think I'm most well regarded for lifestyle and sports pictures, but I really enjoy, walking the streets of Paris by myself with an old Hasselblad. I try not to limit myself from what types of pictures I take, and I don't want to be pigeonholed as a particular type of photographer. I'm really moved and interested and intrigued by so many things. Without it, I would go insane.
Cool. So he's one of the best photographers in the world. What's his business position? He's lucky. He's very lucky. He loves what he does. What's his why? Why does he get up every day? He does, but what does he love? Exactly. He loves creating visual impact. That's his why. That's his passion. His business position is, how does he position himself in the market. Where is he? Is he in? Yes. To be the best. And how does he be the best? What's his direction? How does he evolve as a business owner, as an artist? Sorry? Yeah, exactly, his personal work. And he pursues technology. He's right into, that video is about 5 years old, he's right into staying up with what's happening. He's adaptable, he's flexible, he embraces things to enhance his offering, which is all about creating visual impact. And he's known for lifestyle and sports photography, but he loves doing other stuff too. So he can bring brands to life, lifestyle and sports brands to life through still photography and movies. Quite clever, eh? Okay. Yeah. You have a question?
No, I just got time for that.
Oh, sorry. So, in terms of your business position, pick your niche. Master it and make sure you promote yourself so that you do shine. So your brand is more than your logo. Your brand equals visibility. It's visibility online and offline. It equals credibility, online and offline. The biggest form of credibility is word of mouth. It equals engagement. It's being active in the space with your ideal customers. So make sure you know the community that you choose to position in and stick to it for at least 5 years. Does anyone feel like they've got that sorted? Well done. Cool. So this might just be a refreshing way to say I've got it right. Does anyone feel like they've got a little way to go? Yeah? Guys, well done for admitting it.